Welcome to Tech Talk. In this episode, we talk to our experts about the logistics of equipping 18,000 students with Chromebooks this year. Learn about safety and security with these devices as well.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Tech Talk. I'm Ben Schumacher, Communication Specialist for the Sioux Falls School District, and joining me is Rodney Knock. We're at ATI, and today we're talking about security. In our world, we always hear how internet security is an important topic, and we're putting new technology into the hands of students. We want to make sure that they're safe when they're online. We want to make sure that they're behaving appropriately with these devices. So what kind of things are in place to make sure that happens? I know in schools already with computers and laptops, there's filtering software and blocks and things like that. How about with Chromebooks and iPads?
Okay, with the Chromebooks and the iPads, we're going to a new content filtering solution, which will allow us to actually apply that content filter no matter where that Chromebook is located. When we get a Chromebook, we enroll it into our domain, and really all that means is that our settings then follow it regardless of where that Chromebook goes. And it also allows us to have more granular settings. With our old content filtering software, there was a student setting, and that was it for every student in the district. With this one, it will allow us to actually have different settings depending on grade level and or class. So for instance, if you had a debate team that was studying the legislative issue this last year on teachers or a staff member having a gun in the school, they could actually research that debate topic, whereas with the old content filtering system, everything with guns was blocked. With this one, we can say, okay, the debate team can research this to prepare for an upcoming tournament.
And that's really a useful tool for teachers in
Correct.
particular situations. But it's also good to know as a parent myself that if my student has a Chromebook and is logging on to a Wi-Fi network downtown or at McDonald's for that matter, the filter's still in place.
Correct. The content filter actually follows the device. It's set up on the domain level so that when they access the internet on that device, it goes through our content filter regardless of where that device is physically located.
And with the Chromebooks and using Google Apps, I understand there's an email address that's associated with each student. Can you talk me through that process a little bit?
Correct. We did not use the Google Mail feature of Google Apps for Education. What we're doing is we partnered with the state of South Dakota. They currently handle the email for the teachers within the state of South Dakota, and they also do it for districts that desire email for students. What they've done is they put in place some safeguards to where you can go granular from wide open, where you can email anybody, down to a discrete, you can email teachers in your district. And there's multiple variations in between. But in our district, what we're currently looking at is high schoolers will be able to email outside of the district. So if they're collaborating with teachers or students in another part of the country, for instance, they can do that. But below the high school level, they'll be restricted to our district.
That's an amazing feature as well. So
Yeah.
My last question has to do with Edmodo. For parents who don't know, Edmodo is a social network for education. But it's a lot different from the Facebooks and the Twitters out there. Can you explain how?
Correct. What really sets it apart is the security features of Edmodo. What happens is you can set up a domain also within Edmodo, which the Sioux Falls School District has. And what happens is a teacher will create a classroom, and then students will have to join that classroom, but the only way that they can join is with that code for that classroom. Then the teacher has access to all of the members. So, if little Johnny gives little Billy the code, but little Billy's not supposed to be in there, the teacher can just remove that student. They can also lock the codes so that then nobody else can get into that classroom. The other advantage is you can have parent codes. So for instance, my son is going into middle school next year. I'll be able to go to Edmodo, put in the parent code and every parent code is distinct, and they're based on the student and the class. So if my student next year is in 7 Edmodo classrooms, I will need to have 7 parent codes. But then once I put them all in, I can see the activity that my student is participating in with the teacher, but I don't have access to any other student information in that classroom. So if there's a conversation happening with the entire class, I get to see my son's responses and interactions with the teacher. but I don't have access to the other student's information. Also, in Edmodo, students can't just chat with another student on Edmodo. They can send to the whole group, which includes the teacher, or they can send just to the teacher. And one of the advantages of that is, number one, the teacher is privy to all of the information in that classroom. There's no sidebar conversations happening. But the other good thing about it is kids that may be reluctant to talk in the classroom, if they can actually talk just to the teacher, they still participate.
And that's another great tool, another opportunity for students is through Edmodo. Rodney, thank you for joining us on this edition of Tech Talk. And thank you for watching and learning a little bit about the security features of our one-to-one student technology initiative.